the look and feel of your applications. Okay, so if you're new to styles, what are they, right? They're nothing more than just like a property and value you can set on different elements within your page. So for example, here's a HTML page, right? It has its typical elements, the head, the body, and then there's some table, TR, TD tags, okay? So for a style, it's basically something like the color of a font, the family it belongs to, and its size. So it's just properties and then the values that are associated with it, okay? So there's a whole bunch of properties that are available to you. Right now, the standard is CSS3. And if you haven't seen it before, there's actually a good reference site that you can go to. It's at w3schools.com, and it has a comprehensive list of all the properties that are available to you. You see this on this left-hand side here. All these properties are available to you. And today we'll go over some examples with some of these classes. Okay. So for any particular property, here's what you can do. So let's say you're interested in you see this border property and you don't know how it's used, right? So go ahead and you can click on it and you can get a comprehensive page for this particular property, right? So it gives you an example of how to use it. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. But first, it'll give you a definition of what the property does. So in our case, it sets all the border properties in one declaration. Okay, it's kind of helpful, but not quite yet. So it also tells you the possible values for that particular property. So for example, in the example earlier, you see this thing 5px solid red. What does that mean, right? So if you come down here, you'll see that the first parameter is a border width, right? So this sets the thickness of the border. The second one is a style. You saw it was solid, but you can also do things like dashed. You can have 3D beveling effects on it and so on. And the last value is the color. So it was red. You can set it to any color you like. You can set keywords like red, green, blue, or you can put hex values and so on. Okay, so this tells you what values you can have for that particular property. Also helpful is that it tells you the particular browser support for this property. Okay, so it looks like for the major browsers, it's all supported. Okay, and it also tells you what version it started supporting this particular property. So Chrome started supporting it in version 1, IE in version 4, and so on. Okay, if the browser doesn't support this property, you'll see that this icon will be grayed out. Okay, so this is kind of important because any styles you make, you want to make sure that your users can see them, right? So if you know the browsers that your users use, you can customize your styles for them. Okay. Okay. So let's go back and take a look at an example. Okay. So I showed earlier. So here's the styles again, right? So where can you define these styles? There's usually 3 places. There's inline. Okay. That's within the layout itself. There's a page level definition. And then thirdly, you can have external style sheets, right? So first, the inline styles. So what does it look like? Basically, on any element, it could be a table, TR, spans, or divs, you can actually add this style attribute, HTML attribute, and you can list all the property and value pairs that you like, just separated by a comma, okay? So the scope of this style is only within this container. So since I put the style on the TD, only the contents within it is affected by this particular inline style. Okay, so if we look at it, I have the HTML page here. This is the first line here. This is this red, orange line. If I change it to say like, let's change this to green. Okay, and I come here and refresh it, you see that. Okay, it changes that. But it only affects this particular line. So the inline styles only affects what's contained within the container for that style. Okay. The second style you can do is you can do a page level style. So instead of listing your attributes here, you can actually put it at the top of the page. In the head section of the HTML, you can add an opening and closing style tag, and then you can list those attributes here. And you can associate those pairs with a particular name. in this case, I just called it page level styles. But it's arbitrary. It's just a single word. You can call it whatever you like. It's pretty arbitrary. And you do preface it with a dot there. But when you use it, let's say for this second line, you just say, use the attribute class, and then you give it the class name like this. So in this case, this is this red line, the second one here, okay? Because I set the property as red, font family, I set the size to 48 and it's bold. So let's say if I change this to say, let's just change this to normal. Let's see what happens, right? So I come here and do a refresh. You see that it changes it back here. In this case, the scope of this class is the whole page. Any element on the page can use it. Whereas earlier, only this one, for the inline style, only this container can use that style. This class, I can actually use it in other places, right? So this third line, let's say I reuse this class, I'll copy it, and I'll paste it here. Okay, and I save it. If I come here and do a refresh, okay, the third line takes that style as well. So basically, the scope of this page level style is the whole page. Any element on the page can use it, okay? So let me go back, okay? Lastly, another way you can define your style is externally. You can, instead of having your styles here in the page itself, you can have it in an external style sheet. And here's what it looks like. It's nothing more than a text file with the suffix or extension CSS, okay? You can edit it with any, you can edit it with Notepad, anything you like. I happen to be using VI for those old school programmers, okay? So what I did here was I defined that same class, how I defined the page level one, but in this case, I have the same definitions, but I call it a different class, okay? And the way that to reference this from the page is you add a link to it, this link reference. So this points to this external file, okay? So here, let me refresh it. Okay, so this is red. So this is purple. So if I change it in my external style sheet, let's change it to blue this time, okay? I come back here and refresh. You see it's blue, okay? And the scope of this external style sheet is actually global. Any page, any page in your application that wants to use it, all it has to do is add this link to the page itself. And within the designer application, this is done for you automatically. You don't have to explicitly do this, okay? And the benefit of this is, again, it's global, one, and two, you don't have to change the layout of the page if you have to change styles. If you had, let's say if you had the inline style and you have to change it, you would actually have to edit this, rebuild this page, and redeploy it to your users. If you have it in this external style sheet, right, all you have to do is make these changes, upload this CSS file, and then all your users have to do is just do a refresh, and they'll pick up the changes. Okay, so that's the best practice, I guess you would call it, to use style sheet, to have it in an external style sheet. Okay, and then how do you actually target these elements, right? How do you apply these styles that we talked about onto different elements of the page, okay? So the first way you can do it is actually, you can specify any of these HTML tags, right? The body tag, right? You can set the body tag, a style for that. You can set it for H1, paragraph, and so on, right? And the way to do that is, let's say that I'll just put like a border around all the TDs, right? You can do that by just saying TD, okay? And we saw the border properties earlier, right? So it's solid, and then we'll just do let's do red. It'll be easy. Okay. So this is different from the class declaration, right? There's no dot in front of it. This just says any HTML element. In this case, it's a TD. Okay. So if I come here and I do a refresh, I see that, okay. So now all the TDs within my page has that red border that I specified. Okay. So that's one way to apply styles. You can apply it to any of the HTML elements in your page. Okay. However, it's not very granular, right? So in this case, it applied it to all my TDs, right? Maybe that's not what I want. Maybe I just want to affect the middle cell, right? So in that case, that's when classes come into effect. So instead of using this TD, right, that's when I start using these classes instead, right? So here, if I just want to affect the middle one, I can just put it here, that border px solid. Okay, and in this case, it only affects the middle one. So what the classes allow you is better granularity. You could target specific elements within your page, right, without affecting others you don't care about. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Whenever you work with styles, you hear this term CSS, right? What does it stand for? It stands for cascading style sheets. Okay. Style sheets are just what I showed earlier. They're this external style sheet that you can reference from your pages. Okay. And the good thing about that again is that you separate the presentation of your pages from the actual layout, and then it's also globally reusable. Okay. The C part of CSS stands for cascading, and that just refers to which style takes precedence if you say define it in multiple times, right? In general, the last definition takes effect. Okay, so if I come back here and let's say I have this inline style with the color, right? And if what happens if I add a second one, right? A second color. Let's say this time let's make it let's make this one black. Okay. Okay. The question is, if it's defined multiple times, which one takes effect? Well, the rule is the last guy takes effect, right? If you come here again, do a refresh, you see that, okay, the black took effect. Okay. So same thing with how the page level styles are defined. So let's say you have one class like this, page level, and then you define a second one. You can actually you can actually string these together. So I'm using the second class, this green text class, which sets the color green. Okay. So now there's two classes, right? One that sets it to red, and the other one to green, right? If you come here and you do a refresh, you see that the second one that's defined takes effect. Okay. Actually, to be specific, it's actually not the order of this definition here that governs it. It's actually the order that it's declared up top. So in this case, even though I put the green text first before that, you'll see that it still remains green. Well, the reason why is because this green text was defined after the page level style. So if I did something like this, if I switch the order, okay, this time if I come in and do a refresh, you see that it turns red. So again, what happens is because this one, the red, was defined after, it's the last definition, this is the one that takes effect. Okay, and then same thing for the external style sheet. If right now, because I have it after everything else, this will take effect. However, if I cut this and paste it up top here, these page styles will take effect. Okay, so the rule is just to remember whatever gets defined last will take effect. And this is important because this starts allowing us to override styles. Designer will have some basic styles for you for a particular theme that you choose, and then you're allowed to override it. Okay, so actually let's go ahead and create an application. Okay, in Designer, I will use, let's see. Okay, this is version 12.0. Okay, our latest version. Okay. Okay. To create an application, you just go under File, New, and Application. Okay. The application wizard pops up to step you through the process of creating your application. Okay. The first step is to pick an application type. Basically, it allows you to create type of pages that you want in your application. In our case, you can do web, mobile pages, and so on. Okay. So in our case, I'm just going to use the web pages. That's fine. Okay. Second, the page style step allows you to choose the theme, right? The look and feel of your page. So you have all these to choose from. Okay. And I should point out that there are two main categories for these themes. There's the modern themes, these two grouped together, and then there's classic themes. The classic themes, just as some background, the classic themes were created before much of the CSS3 was available. So things like the rounded corners of buttons, they weren't achievable via styles. So we actually had to use images to create these rounded corners. So in general, the classic themes will be a little heavier image-wise. Okay. So it's recommended that if you plan to do customizations, it's easier to customize the modern themes. Okay. You don't have to mess with images. Usually, you just have to update the styles in the style sheets. Okay. Okay. You might notice here that there's two subcategories for modern and modern grid. Okay, what are these for? Okay, in the modern category, the layout, what we try to do is we try to limit the width of the pages to 1,000 pixels. Okay, and if there is data within the page itself, what we do is we put the data next to the labels. So here's the label for the field label, and here's the field value. So they're next to each other, and they're actually stacked vertically so that we can fit as much as you can without widening the page. Compare that to the grid layout. Okay, so it's the same. Actually, by the way, every modern theme here has a corresponding grid version. Okay, so we look at modern. So now, in this case, the labels are on top and the data is on the bottom. A lot of people ask for this layout. So in version, let's see, I think 11.1, we started adding this to it. But they're actually, the look and feel is identical between modern and modern grid. Okay. In the grid case, the only difference is that this page is no longer restricted to 1,000 pixels. It really depends on how many columns you choose. So it's pretty much left up to you to restrict the pages by you restricting what columns you use. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a theme. Let's see, create an app. So I'll just pick this tequila theme. Okay. Let's see. Okay, for database, I'll just reuse the sample database that's provided by Designer. Okay. Okay, and for pages, let's just create some basic pages. Let's see. Okay, this is just the basic show table page. Okay. Okay, for language, I'll just leave it at English. Okay, and then I'll just call this tequila. Okay. Okay, I'll do a quick build here. And while it's building, let's go on. Let's look at the relevant folders that are in this application. Okay, so I created a tequila theme, right? Here it is. Okay, if I expand it, the two relevant folders for me, as far as the look and feel is concerned, is the images folder, the first one. Okay, so this folder contains all the images that are part of your application. For example, you have the refresh icon here. You'll have different buttons that are part of the application. You'll have your logo, your company logo, and so on. Okay, so all the images are in this directory. Okay, the second folder I'm interested in for styles is the app themes folder. Okay, under here you'll see a subfolder for named that corresponds to the theme that you chose. In this case, I chose tequila. Okay, so that's why it's here. Okay, within that folder there are two style sheets, right? This .css files. Okay, the first one is the base styles page. Okay, open it. Okay, and what these are all the styles that are required to create the look and feel for tequila, okay? And it's kind of grouped logically. We try to do that. So things, for example, like, okay, here's a group for the page headers. These are the styles. There's some styles for the buttons on the page and the links, okay? And then also for, say, the menus themselves, the horizontal menus up top, okay? So here's some styles, okay? So this is a bit hard to figure out what's going on. So later on, in a few minutes, I'll show you, like, in the browser, how to figure out what styles are in effect, okay? Okay. Okay, the second file in this directory is the styles.css file, okay? If I open that, you'll notice that, hey, there's like nothing in here, right? There's just this comment, okay? So what this file is for, it's reserved for you so that you can override any styles that are in base styles, okay? So when either if we have a future release of Designer, or we need to make bug fixes and we need to change styles, we'll make the changes in base styles. We'll make all the changes here. However, we will never override anything you have in here. We'll just preserve anything you keep in there. So if you plan to customize, make sure you put all your classes in here, okay? And I'll show you in a second why this file takes effect over base styles, okay? All right. Let's see how our, okay, so we've done building this, so let's actually go ahead and run it right now. Okay. If I do a quick view source of this page, I'll see that at the top of the page, the head section, I actually have the link references that point to these two style sheets, okay? You know, base styles and styles.css. So the first one is base styles here, and the second is here, okay, styles.css. And what happens in the background is that Designer will go ahead and look in this folder, this app themes tequila folder, and it will add a link for every style sheet that it finds in here. And it will do so in alphabetical order. So that's why the base style one appears before styles. And again, because of precedence rules, the styles, anything defined here, will override what's in here, okay? And you can have as many style sheets here as you want. Let's say you had your customizations, but you wanted to separate some styles into a separate file. Say maybe you have like mobile styles, right? Some for your mobile style. So you can actually call a separate file called mobile.css, okay? And if I come here and I do a refresh, and I look at the view source again, this time you'll see, okay, I see the base styles and I see styles, but it also added a third link in alphabetical order for mobile.css. So you can go ahead and add as many style sheets as you like, okay? All right. Okay. Let's see. All right. So to actually see what classes are on any part of your page, right? So let's say you're interested in seeing what classes are on these guys, right? These field values. You can actually navigate through the page. So in this thing called the page section dropdown, you'll see actually the different components of the page. So here's the master page for it. So it includes the header and the menu items. Here's the actual page itself. Here's the panel for the panel, right? The show table panel. Here's the header part of it, and so on, right? And here are the fields, right? So if I go to the fields, you can actually look in each of these elements. You can actually like see what these are. You can click this edit HTML icon, and you can see, okay, so this is like a th, like a header with this class on it, and then here's the contents, right? And you can also look at the next one, and so on, okay? And what you can do is, if you need to, so you can also see it on the property sheet style section. You can see all the classes there. So If I just scroll by, you'll see that they're all table cell. And if you need to change this, you can click to the right of this. You can like click, and you can change it to any value you like. So say you don't want to use the class that designer has generated for you. You can go ahead and change this to any value you like. Okay. All right. And we'll do some examples of that so you can see what's going on. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So how do you know what styles are in effect, right? Again, earlier, if you just look at the style sheet, this is like really hard to figure out. Okay. And also the view source was also very hard to look at, right? This view source here. Like, it's really hard to figure out what's going on in this page as well, right? So what the developers at all these, the browser makers have done is they've given us something called the inspector, right? And the inspector, let's see, you usually can invoke it. Oh, by the way, they're available in all the major browsers. The controls might be in slightly different areas, but the functionality are very similar, okay? And to invoke it, you go to like Developer Tools, Inspector, or it might be F12. So in our case, in Firefox, I go to Developer and Inspector, okay? And by the way, if you guys want me to use a different browser to show you as well, I can do that. Let Jill know in the chat what browser you want me to use. Otherwise, I'll stick with Firefox for now, okay? Okay, so when I invoke the inspector, you'll see that on the bottom portion, you see this pane here. The left portion here actually shows you the HTML of the page, okay? So just like the view source, but it's organized much better. It's like indented properly and so on, okay? On the right side, you'll see this area which shows you the styles that are in effect, okay? So the way to use this inspector is you actually go ahead and click on this icon, this rectangle with a cursor pointing at it, right? You click it, it turns blue, and you can start mousing over different elements of the page, okay? So we saw earlier that there's this table cell value class on these cells. So you can actually, so the browser says, okay, that's what it is. So you can go over any element you like, and you can kind of, okay, when you're at an element that you're interested in, let's say I'm interested in this element, right? This field value. So if I actually click on it, now in the layout portion, it will show you, it'll highlight in this blue what you selected. So I selected this Vins et Alcuz Cavalier or whatever, okay? And the class uses table cell value, okay? That's what I'm interested in. If I look on the right side, I see that, okay, this is the class and these are the properties, right? And notice that it got this from base styles on line, let's see, 1243, right? If I go here and I go to line 1243, okay, 1243, you'll see that everything is just echoed, right? This color, this font size, and so on. It's all echoed here, okay? So cool. So what purpose is this for, right? You'll see that there's these check marks to the left of all these properties, and what you can do is you can uncheck them, right? So here's a padding attribute. The padding is just the area space around individual elements, right? So let's uncheck it and see what happens, okay? If you uncheck it, you see that the whole panel sort of collapses because, you know, we've taken out the padding, okay? Okay, and not only that, you can actually change these values. So instead of this color gray for the text, let's say we want a different color. Let's just make it red, okay? So you do that, okay? So now every element that uses this class, table cell value, is red now, right? You can see, okay? You can change the font size as well. So instead of let's see, what is it, 15? Okay, let's make it 25. Okay, so you can see, okay, it's larger now. Okay, so this is a good way to like learn and figure out what styles are in effect. Okay, just go ahead and use the inspector. Okay, and the good thing about this is that these changes that you make here are only temporary. If you refresh the page, all the styles that you edited here will be gone. So for example, I'll just refresh and they're gone, okay? So if you really wanted to commit these changes, say I wanted that red color and I wanted that font size applied to this, okay, so what you do is you actually copy this class from the base styles, right? And you add it to your style sheet, your customizations, right? So I'll paste it here. Okay, and what did I have earlier? I had a color. I wanted to make it red. Okay, and I wanted to do increase the font to 25px. Okay, if I come here and I do a refresh, okay, so it's larger. Okay, so if I come and inspect this, right? Inspect this again, you'll see what happens. Now, yes, it's still using table cell value. However, it's using the properties that I've defined within my style sheet. So it styles on line 29. Okay, and what it did was it overrode everything, or just those two values, or the two properties in base style. So the color is crossed out and the font size is crossed out. So that's how you tell, who's taking effect, and you'll see that, okay, my style changes are correct. Okay, they're overriding the base style. Okay. All right. Okay, so actually let's go ahead and do some examples. Okay. Let me clean this out for a second. Let's go back to the original. Okay, so the examples, first example I'll do has to do with the page background. Okay, and I'm going to change the background color, and I'm going to add image to the background. Okay, so what do? The first thing we do is we have to inspect it. We have to figure out what class affects the background. Okay, so I'll click on the icon. Okay, so I'll start mousing over, right? So if I want the page background, we want this highlighted area to include a lot, right? We want, okay, so this might be it. This includes most of it, right? You see that this blue area, it's covering most of the page, but I want the top portion as well. So let me go up here, and then, okay, so this looks like, at this point, it looks like it covers the whole page. So I'll go ahead and click on it. Okay, and I see the class is pback. Okay, so there's this color for the background, okay, background color. So I want to make sure, okay, is this the background that I'm interested in? Okay, so let's change the color. Let's make it like orange. Okay, so okay, good. So let me close this for a second. Okay, so it made that all orange. Okay, good. So I know that this is the proper class to change in order to customize. Okay, okay. So let's go ahead and, since I know this this is a proper class, I'll just go ahead and refresh this, and I'll make my actual change. I'll commit my change to the style sheet itself, right? So I know that, okay, it's pback, okay, and I know that the background color, and it's orange. Okay. Okay. Do a quick check. I'll do a refresh. Okay. Oops. One more time. Okay, I see that, okay, the background color this time is retrieved from my style sheet, and it overrides what's in base style. Great, okay. So now I want to add an image to the background, right? Instead of this orange, I have this photo, I have this nice blue sky image on my desktop. I want to use this for the background, okay? So how do I do that, okay? I just go to my style sheet, and I know that, hey, there's a property for adding a background image to your element, right? So it's called background image, and what it takes is it takes a URL of that image itself. So actually, let me copy this image, okay, and I'll paste it into that images folder I was talking about earlier, right? So remember, everything in this, all the images are kept in this folder. So I'm going to paste it here, okay, so there, okay. So now I need the path to that image, right? So it's relative to your style sheet. So my style sheet was in a tequila folder. I go up 2 directories, app themes, tequila, and I go down to images, okay? So, okay, here. So go down to images, and it's blue sky.jpg. Great, okay. So if I come back here to my application, I do a refresh. Okay, I see my image there, okay, great. Okay, but what if I don't want it to repeat like this? I don't want a tile. I just want one image. Okay, so we can change that. There just happens to be a property called background repeat. Oops. Okay, and you just say no repeat, and it doesn't. And you'll see that, okay, it just displays it one time. Okay, but maybe you go like, okay, I like this, but I want it to stretch the entire width and height of this page. Okay, we can do that. So there happens to be another property called background size, and you can tell it to stretch 100% of the width of the page and 100% of the height. Okay, so we come here. Okay, okay. So it looks like it did the width part correctly, but how about the height, right? Well, it just so happens that by definition, the height of the page only encompasses, the panel and the other content of the page. So it ends here, right after the copyright. Okay. So if you wanted to say make this page taller, you can actually just change it here. You can actually say, okay, let's make the height of the page taller. You can say something like 1,000 pixels for the page. Okay. And we come here. Okay. So now the image stretched the full height of the page. Okay. Great. Okay. Next, let's do another example. Let's change the panel title. Okay. I'll figure out what it is. Okay, but I'll change the font size, and then we'll do some drop shadow effects for it. Okay. So as usual, I come here and I want to inspect. Right. I want to figure out what class affects the panel title. Here's the panel title. Okay. So if I start mousing over, okay, I click on it. I see that the class that governs is THC. Okay, and I'm sorry, DHT. Okay, so if I want to change it, I can copy it from. I can copy the styles from my base styles. It's on line 769. Okay, 769. Okay, so here it is. I can copy this, or I can just change whatever I'm interested. Maybe I'm not interested in changing everything. I said I'm just going to change the font family and the size, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So you'll notice in the font family, there's this thing in quotes. That's kind of weird, right? Usually, I see things listed as without quotes, right? Like Arial or Verdana. Well, the reason why this is happening is because if it's not in quotes, again, not in quotes, that means that it's a system font. All the Arial, Verdana, you'll see Georgia or Times. These are all called system fonts and are always available in any OS you use. So, okay, so that's what those are. But the ones in quotes are actually like from two sources mainly. This means that it's actually proprietary. It could be proprietary for that specific website. For example, like maybe the New York Times has its own fonts for the titles, right? It would list it in quotes. Okay. The second way to have an external style is to use something called provided by Google, right? They provide something called Google Fonts, right? And you can use Google Fonts to like kind of spice up your site, right? Usually, we've all seen Arial and Verdana so much that it's kind of commonplace. So what you can do is you can start using some fonts provided by Google, okay? And we can go there, right? Oops. Okay. Okay. And the site, it has quite a bit of different fonts for you to use, and it's categorized whether there's serif or not serif, whether it's handwriting and so on, and also under different like properties, like how thick that particular font is, right? So you can like drag it and you can see different font types, right? So let's actually go ahead and let's just use one of these, right? Let's say what looks good? I don't know. Okay, let's say maybe I like this Alpha Slab 1, right? This font here. Maybe I want to use that. Okay, so how do you use it? Okay, at the lower right here for this particular font, you'll see that there's this quick use icon. If you click on it, you'll be brought to a page where you can actually import this font to your application. Okay, in this first step, for this particular font, there's just one normal type of the font, but if you choose other fonts, you'll see that there's bold and italic as well. Okay, but okay, so for this one, let's say I want to use this font, right? Alpha Slab 1. Okay, so go to the @import tab. You'll see that there's this import directive, and so we're going to go copy that. Okay. Okay, and just paste it into your style sheet. Your styles. Okay, and this has to be the first declaration in the style sheet. Okay. Okay, so it has to be before any other like classes you define. Okay, it could be after the comments, that's fine, but it has to be the first real directive. Okay, and what this does is when the browser loads your style sheet and it encounters this @import directive, it will actually go to this URL, this Google server, to retrieve the font that you want. Okay, so now, okay, your font is retrieved. So how do you actually use it in a page? Okay, so come back here. To actually use it, right, it's what we've seen normally, right? It's just the font family and then the Google font in quotes, okay? So I'll just copy this. Okay, and earlier I was saying like, hey, I wanted to update the panel title, and that's DHT. Okay, so I'll go to my style sheet. Okay, I'll add a DHT, and then I'll paste the font that I want to use now, right? It's this new alpha slab. This is in single quotes. I don't think it matters. It could be single quote or double quote. It doesn't matter. Okay. Okay. And then I wanted to what? I wanted to change the font size. Let's make it bigger so we can see the effect of this font. Okay. Let's make it like 30px. Right? Okay. If I come back to my page, I refresh. You'll see that, okay, so now it's using that Google font that I wanted, that alpha slab one. Okay, if I inspect it, just to make sure things are working as I expect, I click on that. So DHT, okay, it shows me, okay, this time it's grabbing from my style sheet that Google font, okay, and it's setting the font size to 30, okay, and it's overriding the base style version, right? So you can like uncheck or recheck this and see what the effect is, okay. Great. And then I wanted to add a drop shadow to this. Okay. Let's see. It's called text shadow. Okay. Oh, actually, two properties: text decoration and text shadow. Okay. So let's say you come across text shadow, but you don't know how it's used, right? So okay. So the way to do that is you can just Google it, right? You just go CSS text shadow, text decoration, right? I don't know what that does. Okay. Okay. And usually the first or second return search result is the W3 schools. Okay. So in this case, it's the first one. Okay. I come down here and I go, okay, what can I do with this? Okay. So it looks like you can do like overline of the text, line through, or underline. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's just copy this and do underline. Okay. Come back to my style sheet, I paste, okay. And I check it. Oops, not this one. Okay, here. Okay, I see that there's an underline now. Okay, okay, good. Next, I want to add a text shadow to a drop shadow. Okay, I won't look it up this time because I know what the parameters for this one is. The parameters for this is the first one is how far to the right that this drop shadow should be. So let's say like 4 pixels. How far down, how far vertically it drops. We'll just say 4 as well. And then how blurry it is. Let's not make it that blurry. Let's make it 2px. And then the last value is the color itself. Let's make it red so you can actually see it. Okay. So I'm going to save this and come here. Okay. So you see that, okay, it's kind of ugly, but you get the idea. You can actually put a drop shadow here. Let's make it black. I guess it looks better. Or let's just do gray. Let's do that. Okay. Okay. Well, anyways, let's inspect that and see what's going on in this guy now. Okay. Again, for that DHT, now it has the underline from my style sheet and also the text shadow. Okay. 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 Let's go on. The next example, let's play with some theme buttons. Okay. And we'll change the border colors, and we'll change the border radius. Okay. So what is that? Okay. So here's the button in our application. Okay. This actions and filters button. Okay. So we see that the border initially is this gray. Okay. Actually, let's go ahead and inspect it. Okay. 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 Theme button. Okay. And then it's actually okay. So I know that theme button is what I want to change. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So the theme button is the class. Okay, and I want to override what the border. So instead of gray, let's make it orange. So 1px. We could be crazy. We can do like a dashed border instead of solid. That's fine too. Let's see what it looks like, and let's make it red. Okay. I come here and do refresh. Okay. Okay. You see that there's this dash line. Let's make it solid so you can see it better. Okay. 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 So now you see it's red. Okay. And then I wanted to change the border radius. What's the border radius? The border radius actually governs like how much this the edges curve. So you can say something like border radius. Okay. And let's make it 10px. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay. So now you can have rounded buttons if you like. Okay. Okay. Let's go on. Okay. Let's do some examples with an image itself. Okay. Earlier we used border radius to do the button, right? So we can actually do the same thing for an image. Okay. So let me find a page with some images. Okay, great. So first, as usual, what we do is we inspect the image so we can figure out what class to update. Okay. So I'll mouse over this. Okay. And it looks like the class is image drop shadow. Okay. And I just copy this name. Well, you can test it out here first, right? Since we're here, let's just test it out. So we want to do border radius here. And what do? Let's do the same 10px and see what happens. Okay, so you see that, okay, the corners are rounded. Okay, but they're not quite as rounded as I like, so let's try 20. Right? Okay, that's not bad. 30. Okay, that's good. But you'll see that you're not only restricted to putting pixels. You can actually do something like this. You can actually put a percentage, like 50%, and you can actually make it like completely round. Okay, and let's say that, okay, I do like this change, so let's go ahead and copy this. So let's actually commit this to my style sheet. So you can actually copy this. You can actually highlight and copy this portion. And then go to style sheet and use it. Okay. Okay. All right. And if I do a refresh and once again inspect that image, now you see that, okay, it's getting my border radius from styles now. Okay. And lastly, I want to do a box shadow around the image. Okay. So just like we can do a drop shadow on text, you can do a drop shadow on the image itself. Right now, it's actually set to 0, so it's very subtle. It's like 2 pixels. Let's make it more pronounced. Let's make it, so the first one is offset to the right, so let's make it 3 so you can see it more. Okay, so you can see it pop out a little bit more. Let's make it 5 down. Okay, so you can kind of see it more. And then this is how much it blurs. So if you can do like 10, for example, so you can see it blur a lot, or you can reduce it to just 1 and so on. Okay, so let's leave it at that. And then to see it better, instead of using this gray, maybe you can use the orange, right? Okay, so you can see it here. Okay, so you can move this out further if you like. You can make it 7, right? So you can see it 10, so you can see it better. Okay, but that's the idea. And again, if you want to commit this, let's just go ahead and copy this. Right? If I do a refresh again, this goes away. Okay, the drop shadow goes away because I didn't commit it yet. So if I want to commit it, I have to come to my style sheet, and I had, what do I have? 7, 5, 3, and an orange. Okay. This time if I come in and refresh it, right, this persists, right? I refresh it again, it persists. Okay. Okay. Next example, table cell value. Okay, so we have all these table cell values here. So let's say we do want to do something like this. Let's say we have like these numerical values, and in our application we want to sum them all up, right? Well, when you do a summation, what you want is you want all the numerical values, the dollars, right, to be right aligned, right? This looks weird to be left aligned this way. So let's go ahead and inspect the class that's used for this, right? Okay. Oh, by the way, if you see that, okay, there's this. If you click on the dollar amount itself, you see that you're clicking on the span, right? And what you can do is there's this breadcrumb above the layout. There's a breadcrumb that you can actually navigate from that span up to its parents. So if for example, you can click on the table cell. Now this contains the parent TD, right? And you can actually go up to select more and more of your page. So that's a way of saying, like, maybe you're interested in a style that changes this whole panel, right? How do I select the panel? If it's too difficult to move around like this to pick it, you can actually just pick a portion of it, and then you can use this breadcrumb to actually go, okay, so this is the thing that contains the whole thing. So this is a useful tool for navigating as well. Okay. Okay, so back to our numerical value. Okay, so I was at the span, and I would just go up to the TD itself. And remember, this was the class that we had earlier, table cell value. And I look at this and I see, okay, here's the text alignment, but it's left, right? I want to change it to right. Okay. Okay. So great. Okay. So now all my numerical values are right aligned. Hey, that's exactly what I want. Great, right? But notice also that it affected these other labels, right? So that's not actually completely what we want. We just want to affect the dollar amounts, right? We don't want to affect everything else. So what that means is that we have to create our own style to do that, right? So what I do is, okay, I'll go and copy the table cell value class, okay, from line 1243 of my base styles, okay, and then I want to create my own style for the right alignment, okay? So come here and paste it, okay? And instead of left, I'm going to do right, okay? And then we have to call it a different name because table cell value is reserved in base styles, right? So let's call this right align. And in order to use this, right, I actually have to update the layout now. Remember earlier, the layout, the amount, let's see, the amount column and the unit price column, we're using this table cell value, right? So we want to change it now. We want to change it to our new class, okay? Right? Align, okay? And I want to do the same thing for unit price. Let's do that as well. Okay. And because I changed the layout, right? This is the layout, okay? This is the layout. I changed the TD. I actually have to do a rebuild, okay? Okay, if I come here and I do a refresh, okay, you see now that, okay, my other values are left aligned, great, and my monetary values are right aligned. Hey, exactly what I want. Let's confirm, right? Let's inspect here. Okay, so you'll see that, okay, in the layout, it's no longer table cell value, but table cell value right aligned, okay? And we can see that, okay, it's getting this table cell value right aligned from my style sheet, okay? And here's the right align that I wanted. Okay, but you may be thinking to yourself like, hey, this is kind of inefficient, right? I didn't want to list all these other attributes, right? I just really was only interested in the right alignment, right? What I was really interested in was just that, right? I didn't want all the other things associated with it, right? I didn't even want anything to do with table cell value at all, actually. I just wanted something right aligned, right? So, how do I use just this, right? For example, maybe designer will update this table cell value class, right? And I don't want to. I want to incorporate whatever designer changes, but only preserve this, right? So basically, I don't want all these other properties, right? So what you can do is you can define just the thing, just a class for just the property that you want to change, right? Text align right, and in your layout, right, we can go back to the amount, and instead of using that the class that contain all those properties, we can just say, hey, I'm just going to use what's originally there, right? Table cell value from designer, but I will use my own class for the alignment, right? So in effect, what you can do is you can string as many classes as you like, right? Just separated by a white space, okay? So let's do the same thing for unit price. Okay. Okay, so that's it. Because I did a layout change, I have to do a rebuild again. Okay, and now if I come here and do a refresh, okay, looks pretty good. Let's confirm, right? Okay. Okay, if you look at the layout now, it says, okay, I'm using table cell value plus this right align class. If I look at the actual properties, I see that, okay, it's grabbing right align from my style sheet, great, but it's also using all the original properties from table cell value, which is great. This is what I want. The only thing that it did override was the alignment, okay? So that's the way to reuse the class, the properties that are defined by designer for you, for the theme, right? But then you can do individual customizations, right? Just define your own class and then string them separated by a space, okay? Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, so far I've been just doing examples within designer. It's within a designer generated application itself. But what you can do is you can actually get inspiration from like third-party sites, right? If there are other sites out there that you see something that they've done, right, you can incorporate it, right? That's what as an artist you do, right? You just kind of like borrow from each other. Okay, so here's a site that I've been going to for a while. This is a site by a concept artist. His name is Scott Robertson. Okay, and this is just his site about how to learn how to draw, basically. Okay, so let's maybe there are some elements from this particular website that I'm interested in, right? I see that at the top here it has a menu. Okay, I'm used to seeing these menus, right? There's this rollover effect, right? But notice that the rollover effect is kind of delayed, right? Like usually when I see rollover effects, they're immediate. They pop. They pop up immediately, right? So I'm wondering, like, how does they do this, right? So I go, okay, so let's go ahead and inspect this. Okay, okay. And I mouse over. Let's see. Is that it? Okay. Okay, so when you go to third-party sites, you'll see that it's actually quite convoluted. You just have to work a little harder to figure out what's going on. Let's see, I don't think I got it actually. Let me see. Okay, let me see. Okay, let's see if I can see. Basically, I'm looking for something that has to do with like a delay, right? Like some time interval or something. So I'll scroll down here and okay, so I see something called transition, right? And there's this 450 millisecond. So maybe this affects how quickly the hover effect works, right? So there's 450 milliseconds here. Let's change it to 2 seconds, right? Well, actually, let me do this. Let me comment this out, right? Let's see what happens. Let's just comment this out. Let's uncheck this, okay? So there's no transition, okay? So when I hover over it, hey, hey, great, this is the, so I know this is affecting it. Look how quickly it changes now, okay? So I know that this property, this transition property, is what causes it. So I can do something like this. I can increase the time. So instead of 450 milliseconds, let's make it 2,000, okay? And let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, so it does do a hover effect, but it's really delayed, okay? So let's say I want to use this in my application, right? So okay, so let's go ahead and copy this, right? Maybe I'm interested in using this, right? Let's copy this. Okay, and let's see what on my page. Okay, so let's say I want to use it for my search box. It looks like when I hover over my search box, it turns blue, but it's pretty quick, right? So let's say I want that transition here. Okay, so let's go ahead and inspect the search box. Okay, here we go. I see that. Okay, so the search box is panel search box. Okay, so I can add it here and see what happens. I can paste. Oops. I can paste my transition. Let's do it 1 second, so it's not that long. Okay, so now if I hover over it, you'll see that it's kind of delayed. Oh, let's make it back to 2. Let's just see the transition. Okay. Okay, you can see that. Yeah, it's slow. It works. Okay, so if you want to commit this change, just go to your style sheet. Right. And it was, let's see, what was it? Oh, panel search box. Okay. Refreshed. Okay, so good. It's 2 seconds, and if you inspect it again, let's see. Okay. Yeah, you'll see that. Okay, it's taking that transition from style sheet. Okay. Okay, let's go back to. Let's see. We want to do background attachment. Okay, so on his site, if I scroll down a little bit more, oh, okay, I see this interesting effect here. There seems to be like an image, but it's not scrolling along with the content, right? Scrolling up and down, but the image is fixed. How did they do that? Okay, I don't know. So let's go ahead and inspect it, right? Inspector, okay. So I want to pick the largest container that contains the image, okay? So if I mouse over here, you see that the blue doesn't cover the whole image, so you know that it's further out, okay? So you go here. Okay, so maybe this is it. So let's click on it, okay? And on our right, you'll see that there's a background image, right? This is what we used earlier for that blue sky. And if I hover over the path, you'll see that, okay, the image is actually there. If I click on it, yeah, so you see here's the actual image itself. Okay, so we know that this is the correct style. Okay, so how does it stay in place, right? So I see that, okay, there's this thing called background attachment fixed, all right? If I uncheck that, let's see what happens. Okay, so now if I scroll, it goes away. Okay, I mean it starts moving. Okay, so I know that background attachment is what governs whether it stays in place or not, right? So let's go ahead and use that for our blue sky image, right? Let's fix it in place. Oh, by the way, if you see important here, this is one thing that will overrule the precedence. If you have something important, this will take precedence over anything, even if it's declared later. Okay. So in general, you don't want to use this, but if you have no choice, there's certain instances where you have no choice and you might have to use it. But I'm interested in just the property itself, the fixed property. So let's go ahead and copy this. And I want to apply it to my image, right? Here's my image, right? So the image was on pback, I remember. Okay, so here's the image itself earlier. So let's fix it in place. We don't need the important. Okay, so it's fixed here, and then let's go see our image. Close this. Okay, so now you see that if I scroll the content, yeah, the content scrolls away, but the image stays fixed. if I look at if I inspect it again, okay, here's my pback, here's my image, and here's my fixed, right? If I uncheck the fixed, you see that, okay, it scrolls away with the content, okay? But if I add it on, enable it, okay, now it's fixed, okay? Okay, that's the last example I'm going to do today. Yeah, and just encourage you to just like try to use this inspector tool. It's a great tool. It makes things so much easier in terms of figuring out what styles are in your page. So I encourage you to just try that a lot. Okay. Okay, so right now we're just going to take some questions. Go ahead and type in the chat, and then I'll answer them in the order that they're received. Okay. The first question is from Chan. He says, where can I find all the property listing that you are using? Property listing that you are using. Can you clarify that? What you mean by that, Chan? Do you mean like the properties on the right-hand side in Designer? So when I was referencing this, the only major property that I called out was the style one, because usually here's what you modify to change the class that you're using. But otherwise, I don't use any other properties. Okay. So if I'm not answering that correctly, just okay. The one in CSS, property listing. Oh, okay. Yeah. So earlier I showed you this reference page, right? It's w3schools.com, CSS reference, default.asp, right? And here it lists all the properties that you can use to change the look and feel of your page. Okay, so we did some of them. We did the background image, we did border, right? We did color, we did like drop shadows, and then rounded corners, right? So these are all available to you, right? So if you click on any particular one, you can get a detail about how to use that particular property. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, any more questions? Oh, no questions? Okay, thanks for attending, guys. I hope you learned something. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.